now. This mortgage is going to get enjoy the process. Make sure you buy the right house. Make sure you're buying the house for all the right reasons, because you can maybe refinance it. Hey, Beck, there's an election in 2 years. Although rates might jam up to 6%, who's to say that they don't drop down to 4.5% or even 5% if they go to 6 or 7?
The reality is this. Okay, so we have been in a refinance boom over the last 10 years, right? Yeah. The goal was to get rid of all of the bad mortgages that were written pre-2000 era. There was just a lot of, bad things happening at that time. Obviously, you experienced that, right? So we've been in this refinance boom, getting everyone on well-qualified mortgages. So here we are, and the rates have been going up very quickly. What the point of this is that this rate increase was supposed to start happening in 2020. But the pandemic happened, and so it gave us like an artificially low interest rate. And if you took advantage of it, great, happy day, good for you, right? Well, now it's accelerated. Here we are, and the rates have jumped up pretty quick in a short amount of time, right? So now here it is. We're going to see some rates for some time, and then guess what? We're in another cycle. There is going to be some opportunities, I think, in the future, maybe 5-6 years down the road, where you might be able to refinance. I do agree with you there. It's just another cycle that we're in, but obviously we don't have our crystal ball. All we know is what we know right now, and you still have opportunities to get rates in the mid to low fives, depending on what your credit score is, and take advantage of it before they get up to the 6-7s, which that's what they're projecting.
Slowly, we're talking about equity in your home, and of course, that's the headlines lately because home values have continuously gone up 10% over the last 2 years in most cities. When we come back, let's talk about what you can do with the equity and maybe to leave it alone sometimes. Beck, home equity lines of credit sometimes are better than refinancing your mortgage, but not for everybody. One size does not fit all. We'll come back, talk all about it. Keep it here. Welcome back to the show. Hope you didn't catch any of that. You know what it was, Becky? It's like you can't pick your neighbor, so you better pick a house that you really, really, really love, or at least find out from the neighbors ahead of time or drive by it and really find out if you love. Anyways, you listen to the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Welcome back. 248-539-9797. Becky Yaley, I'm Harvey Freed. Samantha Sills joins us from the good company, Jim Schaefer and Associates. We got so much going on here in Metro Detroit. And by the way, the Tigers are going to come back tonight with some vengeance. Hang in there. Might be an afternoon game. I'm not sure. Last night, it looks like New York missed the extra point. Final score 13-0. So hopefully the Tigers can turn things around.
I don't know, man. The Tigers are starting to, I feel like they're reminding me of the Lions a little bit here, but I'm still like, Lions, Super Bowl, here we go.
Oh, yeah. This is our year. This is our year.
The Tigers, World Series, YOLO, here we go.
Always fun, though, to mix in some real estate and things that are going on in town, especially when you talk about mortgages and real estate. It really is everyone's life. I'm sorry, folks, but either that or you're living out in the street. So it's really key that you set yourself up for success, Becky. So we got a lot to share with you this afternoon. We're going to get into a whole bunch of things, but locally, we've got some really cool things with Pride Month going on.
Yeah, for sure. It is Happy Pride Month, which, by the way, I love the intro. Kudos to you. That was a good one. And Harvey for picking it out. It is Pride Month, right? So, and you're going to see me, Sam. We're going to be down on 9 Mile today, celebrating all of our people in the community, the allies, everyone that's a part of us, and everyone that wants to just support. You know, it's all about love and treating everyone in the great best way. It's about being a human being. Be kind, be true, be you, no matter what you're doing. So you can come see us at Ferndale, 9 Mile. I think there's a parade at 12, and then we'll be there the rest of the day hanging out.
Well, so much
we got
fun
some giveaways, raffles, pictures, all the things. So come hang out with us.
What a gorgeous day, too, boy. That just worked out perfectly for everyone. Anyways, there's a great parade down in Ferndale and lots to do across Southeast Michigan, again, the Detroit Zoo, and
got
so many
Grand
great
Prix.
things. The Grand Prix.
Oh,
I wrote it down on page 3 somewhere.
Yep.
And we got the Grand Prix down at Belle Isle.
I heard this is the last year.
It is.
So it's
Down
the
at
last
Belle
year
Isle,
Belle
yeah.
Isle, and then they're going to bring it back to the streets of Detroit, which I think is cool. I mean, it's been at Belle Isle the last 30 years. And so it's been around, 40 years? And then it's been at Belle Isle the last 30. So, I mean, think about how cool that's going to be to see these Indy cars back in Detroit ripping through those streets. I'm really excited for that.
Samantha, you better know what you're doing in Detroit if you're selling real estate, because I might end up buying a condo there and then find out I'm at turn 3 or something.
Oh,
that could
man.
be pretty crazy down there, or a lot of fun.
Or a lot of fun. I'm going with a lot of fun. I've heard that the Grand Prix is a lot of just a really good time. But I'm really glad it's not on Belle Isle anymore, because I play softball on Sundays, and we have to move our first 2 games off of Belle Isle.
Okay. Well, it's a lot of fun to get out there and play. I know the field's out there. One of the things, too, man, you walk in and I'm like, hey, how old are you? You're young. And you are young. And it's great because I love working with all the first-time home buyers. And a lot of them are transitioning from the rent. And one of the things, and it hit me, I got some younger daughters out there. So one of the things that I'm like living it right now, rents have gone through the roof.
Oh my
People
gosh.
that have rented even in Detroit in these wonderful little apartments or condos or housing. Hey, again, someone flipped the switch real quick on these landlords and they said, I'm not going to rent for $1,200 anymore. Now it's $1,500. If you were paying $18, you might be at $22. Becky, just another reason why. Get in touch with some great mortgage people or some great real estate agents and find out how you fit into home ownership.
I think that with the rents going up, right, I feel like it's also pushed some people that were on the fence into the buyer's pool, right? I mean, the thing is, there is still an inventory shortage, all the things, right? Just there wasn't enough house built in the last 10 years. Okay, that's it is what it is now, right? We're dealing with it. But there is more inventory coming on the market, and you're seeing that with the more accepted offers. However, with these renters and these landlords, they're increasing the rates. So I probably have a good 10 buyers that reach out to me and said, hey, my landlord reached out and I got hit with this new rental notice, and I don't want to pay $1,500 when I know I can get the same house that I can afford for $1,200. And that's a fact. And so, you really need to analyze that. And if you're on the fence and you're not sure, it all starts with a conversation. You reach out. What is your credit score? We're going to analyze the situation. I'm going to get you hooked up with someone like Sam, who's going to really take the reins over and show you what you can afford looks like. She's not going to point out what everything's right with the house. She's going to show you what's wrong, so that way we know what we're getting into, because affordability is everything. So it all starts with that conversation. But yes, I think renting right now is not an option for a lot of people, and also staying at home with their parents anymore is not an option. I mean, people really want to get a piece of real estate. I mean, you need to.
Yeah.
If you can.
I want to design my own house, pick out my own chandeliers, my colors in my bedrooms,
Yeah.
and flooring and everything else that's fun in backyard. We talked about some spaces outside. Home ownership's a lot of fun. Tell me about some of the experiences you've had just even recently. You maybe had a friend come to you and say, I'm thinking about this. Give me something good that happened to you in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, well, I have buyers that are just so excited to get started working on their house. You know, I had a couple move from California, and they moved here, bought a beautiful colonial, and it was just a blank slate. It was all white walls, white floors, white everything. And I went to go drop something off, and they were like, come in and see what we've done. And they're showing me all the cool things. You know what they did that I think is hilarious? They installed a timer for their bathroom fan. That was like one of the first things that they did. I'm like, why? And they're like, because then you can just turn it on for 20 minutes, walk away, and you don't have to worry about going back and turning it off.
I feel like that's old school. It's a little bit
Yeah,
like the
I'm like,
80s.
that's what you wanted to spend money on, but it's hilarious. They're amazing, but
They were proud of it. More importantly, they did some painting. What else did they do to this home? You know, tell me what people are doing.
yeah, they put up a fence. Then they redid the basement. He's a DJ, so he has like a little
Okay.
DJ
All right.
studio, and then a little fitness studio for her in the basement. And she made a nice office, a home office, because she does a bunch of stuff from home. So yeah, they just made it really cool. I mean, you know, they're like California cool, where it's like,
I mean, clearly with the
Yeah.
timer on the fan, I
Yeah.
mean, like, you got to be a different level of cool. I hear like the ticking, like the old ones where you like grind it. It's like a tick when it lets you know it's done.
Yeah.
But like, how cool is that, right? So like, that's one thing that's so rewarding about what we do, right? And the fact that we're not transactional. You're part of them. You're now part of their family, and it's so cool to be able to experience that. And you know, the thing is that, you know, buyers do some things, unfortunately, sometimes that sabotage themselves. They don't know, right? They don't know what they don't know, right? So sometimes they're buying the furniture for the home they don't own yet. Sometimes they're buying the appliances for the home they don't own yet. And all these things come into play, right? And we're going to find out. So you can't hide it, you know, but it's that transparency, that conversation, setting you up for success. But you don't need to buy the appliances for the home you don't own yet. Wait till we get that clear to close, and then you can buy all the things you want.
All right, jobs report came out yesterday, and employment ticked up a little bit. I don't know. There's a ton of jobs out there if you're looking for some part-time work across Southeast Michigan. I see employment opportunities a lot everywhere in town. So again, find out what you can do if you're out of work right now, or if you're looking for maybe a part-time job to save up some money. That's one of the things that's going on now, Becky, is because there's such a lack of inventory of homes out there. Families have to overbid, and of course, we constantly are talking about overbidding on these houses. So somewhere in between there, if we could just use some rough numbers. Sam Sills, of course, from the good company, Jim Schaefer and Associates. And Sam, what's fun about it is it's just really preparing them for home ownership. And one of the things, $200,000 houses, you need about an extra $10,000, $15,000. Those homes are getting bid up to $225,000. The $225,000 house gets bid up to $240,000. Boy, oh boy, that $300,000 house, Becky, we've seen those get bid up to $330,000, $340,000. You need some extra money in today's market.
I do agree with that, but I also think that I want Sam's take on this. Are you seeing where people are not actually overbidding as much as they were maybe 6 months ago?
yeah, I mean, and also overbidding, the market moves pretty quick right now.
Yeah.
So it's 3 months and you're making that money back. It's not an overbid anymore. You're bidding market value because the house was listed, you know, they priced it out a month ago. More houses close, there's more comps, and then prices go up. That's just how it works. So you're paying market value. You're really not overpaying that much for houses.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's changed, and at least what I'm seeing from my perception is, yes, do I have some that are still overbidding, but it's not the 20, 30,000 that we were seeing maybe a couple months ago.
One of the things I want to, keep negativity out of your life. We talked about some positivity early this morning. Are you bullish on today's market? Are you bearish on today's real estate market? The doomsdayers, they're filling up the rooms. A whole bunch of people are trying to predict, bad things. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah,
Why not
peace
predict
and
something?
love.
Yeah,
Peace
predict
and
something
love.
good. But again, this lack of inventory, just truly, and the way I feel about it is that's really the marketplace. The lack of inventory, lack of supply, and tons of buyers out there. Again, I don't know if it's just like a whole group of 25 to 35-year-olds now that are diving into the housing market. People want their own space back. I mean, they're out there buying.
I mean, okay, so the reality is the age group between 25 and 35, it's 45 million. 45 million are in those prime buying ages that are entering the buyer's pool, and there's just not enough homes in there. But, I feel like inventory is going to pop on the market, and it's, we are seeing a little bit of a shift, and the interest rates are going to create that, all those things, right? But I feel like a lot of investors that gobbled up these properties during like the 2008, 9, 10 era, they're starting to let them go. I have
Right.
like someone client that's literally unleashing 20 different investment properties.
All right, so of course this is ruling the roost here is the lack of inventory out there. Escalation clauses. I got into a pretty tough conversation with the gentleman. I don't know, he's got 4 or 5 offers he's already made. I said, have you put an escalation clause? If you like that house at 329, then don't you like it at 349? Well, you have to make that decision. Sometimes that particular house, and if you comp it out properly and you got a great real estate agent telling you, but wait a minute, this one now has a finished basement, so this is giving you some additional living space. I didn't say square footage, did I? A living space. Or the reason why this one has a 3-car garage or some acreage. There's a reason why you need to make that decision. 20,000 more. Am I willing to put an escalation clause in there? You can put an escalation clause and say, look, I'll give you $2,500 over your best offer with a high, a low, and put some maximum and minimums on there on the purchase agreement to make a deal happen.
Yeah, especially I'll do escalation clauses when there's no other offers yet. We're the first offer in. We're gonna write at asking price, but we'll go up $2,500 over the next highest offer up to whatever their max is, because I don't want them to overpay. We're not going to go right to their highest if we're the first offer, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. We like come in finger guns. I'm ready for that. Be like, here I am. I'm the first offer. We're coming in hot, but I want you to look at me, right? And I want to make sure that we're going to be successful in this. And when we come back, I want to talk about our buyer that we just had some really good success for.
I'm getting you a Yosemite Sam hat for sure.
Yeah,
All right, keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
Rabbit.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. I'm Harvey Freed with Capital Mortgage Funding, alongside of me, the great Becky Alley, as we get into our second part of the show here. And of course, we brought in Samantha Sills, who's with the good company, Jim Schaefer and Associates. And you guys, where are you guys? Royal Oak area in the Southeast Michigan area. You guys do it all.
Yeah.
You'll go anywhere. You will, if there's a house out there that someone wants to see, you guys are going to take them to it and talk all about it. There's just so much knowledge in housing, Becky. One of the things that it's 50% of the people are really, really on top of this, but there's a lot of the other 50% are not. And they really got to get the professionals in front of them. It's just not the way it was in the years ago. You got to learn what you're doing here and get that knowledge behind you.
Yes, this is not a rookie market. I can't stress that enough. You had a lot of people that got in the market. When I'm saying they got in the market, I'm saying in the business, I guess. There's a lot of people that got in the mortgage business, the real estate business over these lower interest rates. And it appeared to them as if it was easy to sell a house, sling a mortgage or two. And it's really, it's very intricate. You can't just slap something on the wall and see if it's going to stick. And the ones that do that get exploited, and you can see that really, really quickly. And the other part of it is that consumers right now, they're hesitant. They're nervous. You're talking about the biggest investment that they're ever going to make, whether they already own a home or not. And Sam and I just we wrapped up on a buyer yesterday. It was great, but he was very hesitant, our client. And, and there was a lot of reassuring and making sure that, he wasn't contingent on selling his home, right? So he wanted to sell he wanted to buy before he sold. And, he was just a little bit nervous on the funds and things like that. But we worked it through. And as a daily coaching effort between the two of us, not because there was anything wrong with the transaction, but, you're talking about when you're originally quoted them at a 5% interest rate, and then the rates jump, and then your payments are changing, right? And then you're putting these offers, and then they're getting discouraged, right? And it's all about, we set the tone, we set the temperature, right, Sam?
Yeah, for sure. In the beginning, when we first started looking, people were paying 5-10% over asking price. And when you're looking at $300,000 houses, that adds up quick. But eventually we ended up getting in for a good one at asking, and it appraised over value.
Yep.
So
you come in at asking, and this home has $11,000 in equity right off the rip.
Perfect.
Right? So that's what my point was before we went to the break, is that we are seeing homes where you're not having to go above asking. So those buyers out there, I want you to call in. I want to hear from you, because you don't have to come in $10,000 over asking. It's all about being strategic in what you're offering, being aggressive right off the rip. What Sam said, if you're the first offer, you can still be aggressive, but you don't have to go in too much over, to the far right, where you feel like you're throwing money when you don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're serious, you better put an escalation clause in there and just be done with it. Again, what listing agent would not look at that offer and say, well, we got one right here that says, no matter what offer comes in, I'm willing to pay you $2,500 more. And I've already looked at 10 houses. My agent's paying $5 a gallon in gas. She's looking at me strange. She wants me to buy that Starbucks coffee now. That's not cool. Wait a minute here. I thought we were looking at houses today. Oh, well, you're buying coffee. Well, anyhow, 248-539-9797. Always want to hear from you. We bring some great information talking about this again, getting your ducks in a row, the financial literacy. You have to know today's marketplace. Let me dive into the credit thing. It's really crazy.
Actually, I'm glad I wrote that down. So
go ahead. Good. Just to dive in there with credit, because we don't teach it to our young kids. It blows my mind that when younger people don't know about it. And the reason why is because I'm the old guy in the room now. So when I learned about it in the 80s and I was becoming an adult, and your family members are teaching you, my aunt told me the best advice ever. Harvey, take your paycheck, have it automatically deposit into your account. And then if you need, I have that ATM card. So if you need $20, go grab your $20, but don't cash your check and walk around with it. At the end of the week, you're going to have no money and there's nothing left in the bank. So these little weird habits, Becky, that people need to be taught. It's not a bad thing. Reach out to someone. All right, let me go with the credit piece. When people call me and they start talking, don't run my credit score or my credit report, it's a hard pull. People with bad credit only talk like that. Do you know that, Becky? People with good credit never call me up in 30 years and say, hard pull, soft pull, don't pull it. They don't care. They have good credit. It's simple. 3 or 4 accounts, pay them on time.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, let me just hit you with some knowledge, okay? someone pulling your credit is not going to be what's going to tank your score 20 points, 50 points, 100 points. What's going to affect your credit score is you missing payments. That is the biggest, most detrimental thing that is going to affect your credit, not having a credit pull so that way you know what you qualify for, right? So the other part is how much you have out there owed, right? What is your, if you have a limit of 2,000, we'll say, and your credit limit is 200,000 and your balance is 210,000, that means you're over, or $2,010, you're over that credit limit.
Right.
That is going to also have a catastrophic effect on your credit, right? So in a perfect world, you need to keep those credit balances under 43%-ish, right? They're always changing the algorithm, but doing a soft pull is not, or even a hard pull, it's not going to affect your credit. Here's another thing. People are like, oh, well, I already had my credit pulled. I don't want you to pull my credit again. I'm afraid it's going to take my scores. No. There's a difference between you going to Home Depot and Lowe's and having your credit pulled because you want 0%, because people will do that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they'll do that all the live long day. But when it comes to mortgages, they don't want to do it, right? So there's a difference between a credit card inquiry pull and a mortgage inquiry pull. You have 45 days to actually have your credit pulled where account is one inquiry. Okay. There's a lot of misinformation where they think it's 2 weeks and there's this or that. So if you're using Credit Karma, it's a 2-week window where you're going to see like a difference. But the actual real credit report, the FICO scores that a mortgage company is going to use, it's 45 days.
45 days. You can run as many credit reports in there if you're shopping for a mortgage.
I don't recommend more than 3.
No. Well, the problem is they don't even get a copy of it. Again, so if you're just calling willy-nilly people and you're having strangers run your credit report, I always ask the person, do you have a copy of it? Did you meet the person and go over it with you in the office? Then why call? Don't call. Call the professionals. All right, let me throw it out there. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. We've been around for over 30 years. You must take advantage of today's marketplace and get that professional team behind you. We'll get you set up with Samantha Sills and all the great real estate agents all across Southeast Michigan. But you got to go to the lender first. Look, anyone can get you started with that house first, but if you don't have the money, you're not going to be able to make the transaction happen. And
when it comes to the credit report stuff too, right? You don't want, anyone can call a bunch of people, right? If you're calling enough people, someone's going to tell you what you want to hear, right? We're not the people that are going to tell you what you want to hear. We're going to tell you what you need to hear, how you're going to be successful. And even if you're not at the point of where you can afford to buy a home, or maybe your credit score is not there, we're not going to tell you no. We're going to tell you just not right now. And we're going to analyze the credit. I'm going to tell you how to get there. And we're very, very well versed in how to fix someone's credit score because we were taught the right ways. We're not rookies. We know what we're doing. And I'm blessed to know that I have good credit because it was preached to me, right? And a lot of people just don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, and that's okay. But we're here to educate you.
Right. Don't worry about your credit report. Get the professionals to teach you. What you need to know is pay your bills on time. All right, let me throw it out there again. VA, FHA, USDA, conventional loans. We have the best jumbo rates anywhere in the country. The average median home price last year hit $346,900. If you got that laying around, you don't need a mortgage, but most people don't have about $350,000 laying around. So definitely. And then bridging that gap too, again, just because you're going to put down $100,000 on a $300,000 purchase, it doesn't mean you not always qualify. So I got that issue going on now. Some interesting calls from some buyers wanting to put down tons of money. Why don't you find out if you can borrow that money, and it probably makes more financial sense for you. So we're always explaining that type of thing. You know, Becky, with today's interest rates, although they're higher than they were the last 2 years, these are still extremely affordable. Becky, if it's 5.5%, each $10,000 is $56.80. That's pretty affordable. When you start doing the math on mortgages versus rent nowadays, you can see that mortgages are still extremely affordable.
Yes, you need to invest in yourself. If you're so inclined to do so, then invest in someone else's mortgage. That's 1,000%. If you can put money in your bank or in your bank as far as like equity and things like that, like our buyer we were talking about, right? He literally just bought a house. He was hesitant. He has a house to sell, but he already has a home that has $11,000 in equity. He's investing in himself, and you need to do that as well. But it all starts with a conversation, right? So Sam, someone's reaching out to you today, and they're like, I don't know where to start. Right? I don't know what I can afford. I don't know what this house looks like, right? Or what this price point looks like. What's the conversation that you're having with a first-time buyer?
I mean, first of all, I don't talk numbers. I was terrible at math, so I'm going to send them to you.
That's why we got to talk about our goat yoga too.
Yeah, that is the first step, is I send them to a lender. And then the second step is people who are worried about the market crashing, all of that stuff. Like, you're worried about this, but you don't have any chips in the game yet. You don't own a home yet. So what are you even worried about? You're going to pay, a lot more to rent. I can't even afford to rent where I'm living right now. So, I mean, you're either going to pay more or you're going to get a house, get some equity, and start actually doing business, like making business for yourself, right? Like you can make money off of your house.
Yeah, look, there's plenty of people that get into a sticky situation on a house. You can Airbnb them. You can rent them out. You can be a landlord
Yeah.
and usually break even, if not even sell that, like you said, not even sell that house and make some money if you've been there for 2 or 3 years as appreciation goes up. Yeah, it's a 50-50 world out there. We still get those tough calls, Becky. No doubt. Some people call, they have no credit, no money.
If you don't have a credit score, you actually still can get a mortgage. We can get into that too if you like.
Sounds good to me. When we come back, 248-539-9797. Keep it here. Alrighty, welcome back to the show, 9:43. What a gorgeous day. Low 70s out there, sunny. June 4th, 2022. Still in the spring and / summer buying season here. We talk about Michigan home and real estate season. It really never ends anymore. And I can't say that we've had a mild winter. I think it was like the longest winter of my life. I don't know. I'm getting older. These winters are getting long.
I feel like May was the longest month of my life for whatever reason. There was just a lot happening in May, like with buyers and whatever. But before we get into it, I do want to say congratulations to all the graduates of 2022. My niece just graduated last night from
congrats.
Allen
There you
Park.
go.
She's a JAG, and it's, you don't think about it, but just like we've faced adversity, I mean, they only had 1 year of normal high school. It was their freshman
Right,
year.
right.
And then the last 2 years, they're in the pandemic and online learning and stuff like that. And it's like, you don't think about it till you hear it out loud, like their high school experience was totally different, right? So they're now entering the world. They're going to start going to colleges, doing their things, getting jobs. They're going to start buying houses, right? And I feel like their class hopefully will be the next generation of resilience, right? To make it through adversity, being creative, but then also just being, just plowing through it and making it way, because things aren't going to always go your way, but it's always about finding a way around whatever obstacles you have. So congratulations to all of them.
And Becky's optimistic about this younger generation. And I love that, Beck. There you go.
Listen, we are okay. Think about it. Like, even like with Sam, right? We are the next generation of real estate, mortgages, right? It's not what it was happening 50 years ago. It's a totally different market, and you need to have, it be in line with people that can look at things, have a mindset of an underwriter, and be able to fix a problem immediately, but then also have someone like Sam who's experienced, but also knows how to talk to people. Like Sam, people don't know, she was also a teacher, and she was a teacher before she was in real estate, and she also rocks out with some goat yoga that I'm going to be going to.
You guys are doing goat yoga. That's awesome.
She teaches it. I think that's so cool. It needs to be known.
It's fun. It's a really, really good time. Yeah, it's goats just jump on you and you do yoga and they love you, and they also, we've had this conversation, but they poop on your mat.
Oh, no,
and
we
you
don't
just,
have it bad. It's a little messy there.
Yeah, do they like a jump
but
and stuff? I love it.
Yeah, it's not that bad. You just brush it off, pretend it didn't happen. What happens at goat yoga
And then
stays
get
at
back to
goat yoga.
downward dog.
Add that to the fun things to do in Southeast Michigan. All right, look, we talked about it early in the show, too, about this equity thing. You hear some mixed messages out there. All of a sudden, yeah, we know a lot of families have equity, but if you put 5% down just last year, maybe you have 15% equity now. Maybe you have 20% equity, but that's where the goal line starts, Becky. In order to take cash out, the maximum cash out on a first mortgage on a mortgage is 80%. So the home equity lines are typically another 10%, but people get themselves in trouble on those very quickly.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a pause on home equity lines on some companies because that was kind of like what was happening. So people are buying these houses, now they have to rent, now they're renovating or they're painting and they're doing these things, right? And they racked up their credit cards. So now they racked up their credit cards because COVID affected people, their finances changed, all that stuff. And now the home equity lines where, I have a couple clients where they bought the house, they got a 90% equity, home equity line, and now they're calling me because they want to put it on one loan. Well, guess what? The equity's not there because they overextended themselves, even now in this current market. So it is situational. It's not for everybody, and you got to make sure that you're not repeating yesteryear's mistakes.
Let me go with that yesteryear's mistakes. I'm sorry if you work at a credit union, but this is just how it is. Okay, it was President Obama. He came up with the HARP program, Home Affordable Refinance Program. They came up with the HAMP program, Home Affordable Modification Program. If you had your loan at a credit union, they didn't offer those. So don't go there maybe. All right, better yet, the credit unions and a lot of local banks did not subordinate second mortgages. The economy was in bad shape. That could happen again. Folks, don't repeat, like you said, Beck, don't repeat these mistakes that were made in yesteryear. And more importantly, find out what you can do to prevent that. So if you go ahead and get that home equity line, just understand you're leaving your first mortgage alone. If you max it out, it might take a few years before you're in a better position. And more importantly, Beck, what scares me about home equity lines of credit is, although the interest rates are teaser rates to get you in, it's usually an interest-only loan.
Yes.
And again, another jam up for young families. We talk about 50% of the people can handle it. The other 50 cannot.
You have to be financially responsible, right? That's what this is an advocacy show, right? So we're here to make sure you're financially responsible. Granted, it's always going to be your decision. We're just going to give you what we feel is our best opinion, right? So with that being said, home equity lines, yes, they're normally interest only the first 10 years, and then they convert to principal and interest and things like that. So sure, can you afford that teaser $100 a month? Cool, good for you. But can you afford when it's back to $300, right? On top of your initial mortgage payment and your other debts, right? So just be careful, have the conversations with the professionals, and talk to your CPA or financial advisor on top of that if you need to.
Right. I don't want to give the doomsdayers and the flat earthers any respect at all, but equity can evaporate also. The market can change quickly. And we're seeing some of these quick changes now. I don't know, at the end of the year last year, everyone's throwing their money in the stock market, me included, 401ks. Oops. Had we had the crystal ball out, I would have liquidated everything in the 401k, put it in a cash position, and then come back and rebought these stocks. So again, things change very quickly. I didn't liquidate everything. I'm waiting. You got to be patient. You got to understand the marketplaces. Just don't do things because you think it's right. Do things for all the right reasons. 248-539-9797. Another topic I wanted to get into is removing this mortgage insurance, Becky. Sometimes a little bit easier. I'm going to have the experts on. Actually, a couple of the different PMI companies has reached out to me recently. I think it's valuable information. So we are going to be adding a little bit. But if you want to talk about getting rid of PMI, Beck, just give a little bit of it.
PMI, okay, so people think PMI is a bad thing, right? But what you have to understand is that PMI, that $23 a month that you might be paying, is now allowed you to keep $20,000 in your bank, right? You don't have to have 20% down to buy a home, right? So you can use PMI, private mortgage insurance, and that's what's going to allow you to get into a home for minimum down. So that way you can keep that money in your bank. So that way when you are painting and doing all the things, you don't have to use credit to do so, right? You're in a position where you have the assets to do that. Now, what Harvey's talking about is now here we are year down the road and we know you have equity in the home, right? So you can look at doing a refinance to get rid of that PMI and now drop your payment $20, maybe even change your term to a 15-year to get that better rate. It's all situational and it's all about just having those conversations because we are in an appreciating market. And then you also don't know, like I have a couple where they've been divorced and you have to refinance. There's all these things we've talked about before.
Yeah, moving parts.
Yes, there's a lot of moving parts and everyone's situation is different. It's just about having the conversation and making sure we're in line, whether you're trying to buy up again and even like with Sam with like our client, right? He's about to put his house on the market after he just bought and knowing that he's got all that equity, which is a beautiful thing.
We always say this, and we threw it out there. You threw the D word out there again. If you are having some marital problem, things of that nature, definitely get a mortgage person in your life, a qualified mortgage person, to sit down and just go through things. Again, sometimes things don't work out, as we know, in relationships and stuff. And now you're co-owners of a house, you have children there. And again, housing's a roof over your head or a roof over your family's head. Or even if things aren't working out with your spouse, you have kids over there. So you got to figure out a plan. And so often we talk to divorce attorneys, and we have some new information we're going to be sharing actually with a bigger divorce attorney office this week, and just to really keep them organized and sort of get in front of families that are having these little issues in life. Again, housing is affected when you're talking about relationships. So again, get more experts in your life. Again, we talk about financial literacy. If you're going through some hard times, relationships where you're both on a mortgage, what happens if I want to divorce and then go buy another house? How do I do that? Do I qualify? What income can I use? Becky, so often we see the situation where maybe one of the spouses is getting this child support and alimony. You can't use it until you've been receiving it for 6 months.
Yeah, so like there's different things that are going to qualify you, and it's about knowing what's going on. So even, if you are receiving child support, you do have to document it for 6 months. On the flip side of it, if you are paying child support, right, and that child support is ending in the next 10 months, we no longer have to count that against you, right? It has to be documented. So if your child is turning 18 and they're graduating within the same year and it's within 10 months, we do not have to count that debt against you, which is now going to help you qualify for a mortgage. So again, these are things that we know you probably don't know, but that's what we're here, and that's why we're the professionals that you want to be in line with, and then we get you hooked up with these great agents.
It's simple. Mortgage bankers add value. So do professional real estate agents. Sam Sills, you got to be passionate about what you're doing. You got to like what you're doing, that's for sure.
Sam is awesome at what she does. Let's talk about that for a second. She is literally so good at what she does. She's so patient. She's so kind. But on top of that, she's assertive, right? So if you can be kind and patient, aggressive at the same time, I feel like you're just like all of the things in one little shell.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice.
Aren't we nice when you come on here? You
It's
got a
so
goodie bag.
great.
You get everything when you come on here on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Again, open at Capital Mortgage all day today. Call 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Deal with local professionals that are mortgage experts. Again, lots of years of experience, and we can help you navigate today's crazy housing industry. Other things too, Sam. How about these homes with the bells and whistles? Nothing like pulling up to a open house and just seeing 20 cars outside and everyone's mouth in there, and you're looking around, and you might as well start looking at everyone's shoes to figure out who's going to be the overbidder on this house, right? Give us a little bit about that vibe, what's going on at those houses.
Really, like a lot of the things are cosmetic that just catch people, and it's staging. It's little things like that just get the line out the door. So if you know how to stage a house, put a couple plants in there. Millennials eat it up. I am that millennial. I'm like, oh, this house has a plant. Oh, it's cute.
You guys, the real estate agents now are offering that. They're offering,
Yeah.
you can, right? Jim Schaefer's team and Good
Yeah.
Company. You guys offer that. So great consultations with your buyers and sellers. When you sit down with the seller, you go over all these things you're offering, which is the videos of the house, the staging of the home, your professional opinions. You guys will dress up a house and maximize what these families are going to get out of it.
Absolutely. And our marketing team is great too on our team. We have got a new videographer. She makes little TikToks. She's really like talking to the people, they're showing them what they want to see. And Jim has done such a great job of shooting these little propo videos. And, we know how to sell a house, right? You got to market it. You got to make it look cute. Put a couple plants there.
It's crazy. Plants that really have that, like,
It
just tip
really
the scales.
does. Open up the windows, put some plants in there, and people can really see themselves living in there. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this plant stayed alive.
You're right, though, because I feel like people have like the visual, right?
Yeah.
And like I guess it'd be like, oh man, a plant has been living here for 10 years. It looks
Right.
like I can live here.
Yeah.
If this plant survived in this heat, right in front of the sun, craziness. Definitely getting your financial, we call it financial ducks in a row, and being able to strike. We also get those late calls. I'll get a call this afternoon. Hey, Harvey, I spoke to you 3 months ago, and I found a house I like. Hoo-hoo, I love and hate that call all in once. I'm like, well, look. I've got to usually go into the office and do that because I immediately have to run that file. I have to get their documents quickly. I have to re-update the credit, go over things, requalify them. Folks, if you're looking at houses and you don't have a strong approval letter that is dated and is accurate, and it's got your lender's name and phone number, and again, if your lender doesn't even call back, you got trouble.
Yeah. You definitely got trouble, and you want to make sure that you know what's going on all the time, right? So we're about to wrap up here, but I just want to make sure we're going to be at the Ferndale Pride 9 Mile. Me and Sam hanging out all day. I think she's got the afternoon shift after she does her goat yoga, but I'm going to be there all day, and we can't wait to see you guys. Hope you hang out.
All right, cool stuff. Definitely go check out Becky and talk housing and mortgages and all that fun stuff. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. I'm sure they got sports all day long here. And, of course, call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We'll catch you next Saturday.